Assalamu alaikum. Saludos. ¿Qué onda? You're in Los Angeles. I think it is fitting to just begin with a bold but simple statement that a better world begins with a better story. And I want everyone for a moment to think about November 9th. For me and my wife and then my 2-year-old, 2-month-old daughter, watching election results come in, her being born and raised in Paris and looking at me like, what is this? And I told her, just go to bed and go get some rest. And I stayed awake about another hour to 2 hours watching results come in. And I began to cry. Because I went in the bedroom and I watched them sleeping. And anyone who studies neuroscience or human development from a childhood perspective knows that at the age of 2 and 3 is more than when children begin their first sentences or first ideas. It's when they begin to form what we call their first normal. And I cried because I knew for the next 4 years, this is what my daughter was going to understand as her normal. And about 2 days later, Aaron Huey, the executive director of the Amplifier Foundation and photographer of National Geographic, called me and was like, I really need some help and support. I have a crazy idea I'd like to do. And I said, absolutely. What are we doing? And then he responded with, I have no idea. And so we went over to some colleagues up at Stanford in the D School, and we just basically locked ourselves in a room for a couple days and began talking with colleagues from the New York Times and from education, from other people. And all we asked them to do was to sit with us and to not speak from the head, but to speak from their heart. What are your fears? What do you need to say right now? What does America need to hear right now? We began holding those conversations on both sides of the West Coast, from San Francisco to New York, with the heads of foundations, the heads of the United Nations, the heads of policymaking, as well as people who were just trying to put some food on their family's table and asking them, what are your fears? What are your dreams? What does America need to hear right now? And from that, we came up with about 1,500 to 2,000 responses, which became the words you see on the pages. We must defend dignity. We must be greater than fear. We must protect each other. We, the resilient, have been here before. And in order to get to where we need to go, we must be indivisible. Values is what we decided we need to broadcast. And we wanted to pair them with people who had been put down for, some would say, the last 12 months, and others would say for the last 400 years. And to say that this is our job right now in these times, to lift up those who have been put down and to remind people of things we cannot forget. And that was celebrated by 23,000 supporters on Kickstarter, making it the largest art-funded Kickstarter campaign in world history. Which funded hundreds of volunteers in Los Angeles and Chicago and New York to carry out over 60,000 lithographs into the streets, to take out full-page ads in the USA Today, Washington Post, and the New York Times, reaching a distribution of 250,000 people across the US, and then watching it be downloaded in Berlin, in Johannesburg, in London, and nearly every continent in the world. And there too. And so if you've carried an image, we thank you, because the reality is, Amplifier, we make the visuals, but you are the key broadcaster. You know, and we just ask you to continue broadcasting things not from the head, but from the heart. And I do want to give a special thanks before I leave here to Dr. Hatut, who in 2002, before Adina Lekovich was communications director, before Tariq Shaki was a lawyer, before Samira Idrous worked for Complex Magazine, and a whole bunch of other people became the fabulous Muslim creative stars they are, He invited us into his living room, and he taught me Quran. And he funded a new media initiative that funded my first trip to Palestine in 2003 because he believed that a child of farm workers from this continent should sit with the children of farm workers on other continents. And so as a person who's been involved in all of the images you see, I want you to know that it is a direct result of Dr. Hatout's heart and his investment, so thank you.